What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and we're here with a long overdue playthrough of Resident Evil 2. Now, before we get started on this one, a couple of things to note. Yes, this is long overdue. I was recording it previously, but I had some technical issues that I had to start over, and some stuff got in the way to kind of just delay it even more. And on top of that as well, I want to talk about the version in particular I'm playing. So, as you can probably tell, if you're not too familiar with me or this channel, I'm obviously Irish, which means I play European and PAL-based versions of the game. So, with my Resident Evil 1 playthrough, I used my physical disc, my physical PAL Resident Evil Director's Cut disc, which was obviously 50Hz interlaced, aka 25 FPS. But this particular version of Resident Evil 2 is different to my actual disc-based version. This one is the DualShock version of Resident Evil 2. This is the US version because my PS3 doesn't like to read discs properly anymore. So it's a little bit different. It plays a little bit faster because it plays at a higher frame rate. One or two other small adjustments have been made too, nothing major, but something that is important to note is this has an arrange mode as well, something I have never actually played to this day in Resident Evil 2. So we're going to go through all 4 standard campaigns of Resident Evil 2, and then I might possibly do a single campaign of the arrange game. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be quite the undertaking, at least anyway. If you're not familiar with how I do these playthroughs, Resident Evil 2, just similar to my Resident Evil 1 playthrough, I'm only going to be commenting and remarking on stuff like design choices, differences, things like that. It's not going to be 100% normal commentary the whole time. It'll be nice and quiet during the actual story-based parts and cutscenes and things like that. It's mostly going to be commenting on actual story. It's not story-based, sorry. It's actual design choices and things like that. So we can skip all this because I let it go back to the demo, which I shouldn't have done. And we'll get started with Leon's campaign. Leon A, Resident Evil 2, normal difficulty.
Resident Evil 2.
A bizarre incident occurred in the outskirts of an American suburb called Raccoon City. It was later revealed that the terrible disaster had been caused by the T virus, a mutagenic toxin created by the international enterprise Umbrella Incorporated for use in bioweapon experiments. The Raccoon City Police Department's Special Stars Unit immediately began investigation in the affair. But the Umbrella Corporation's experiments were far from finished.
What have we got here?
That guy's a maniac. Why'd he bite me?
mess. What could have done this? What was that? What are these things? All right, that's far enough. Don't move! Don't move. No! What's up with that guy? That was a clean hit. I'm running out of ammo here.
Wait! Don't shoot!
Get down! We can't stay out here. Head to the police station. It'll be a lot safer. There! Buckle up.
Okay. What's going on? I arrived in town, and the whole place went
Great.
insane.
The radio's out.
You're a cop, right?
Yeah, first day on the job. Great, huh? Name's Leon Kennedy. Nice to meet you.
Mine's Claire. Claire Redfield. I came to find my brother, Chris.
Hey, could you open the glove box?
Sure. There's a gun inside.
Better take it with you.
Look out!
You okay?
Still in one piece.
Maniac's gonna ram us!
Even though it's still part of the cutscene, I just want to quickly mention that look at the way the car spun before hitting the wall. Depending on which campaign you're actually playing, which character you're using, the car actually spins and hit a different way to make sense of the actual character being where they are based on that story.
I'm okay. Head to the station. I'll meet you there.
Okay!
So straight away you notice we're a bit more action-y right off the bat. Which makes perfect sense. I just wanted to give it a second just to get out of danger. I'm just going to go into the menu for a second just while I explain this. So, it's a lot more action-y already, but not too over the top. It still retains a lot of the original survival horror elements from Resident Evil 1. Basically, almost all of them are there. And the fact they had to change it and up the pace and tempo just a slight bit, simply to reflect the fact that rather than like Resident Evil 1 being in a secluded, lonely, claustrophobic mansion somewhere, you're actually in the center of a large city while it's under attack by a zombie outbreak. So it makes sense that they'd have to step up the actual pace, and you can see the effect on the city based on everything that's been happening around it. There's cars crashed everywhere, places are barricaded, people are fighting for their lives, this kind of stuff, and it reflects in the environment design.
Freeze! Who are you? What are you doing here?
Hold your fire! I'm a human!
Sorry about that. I thought you were one of them.
What's going on in this town?
Hold on. I don't have a clue. By the time I noticed something was wrong, The entire city was infested with zombies.
The good old gun shop kendo. Something you'll notice here straight away is when you pick up items in Resident Evil 2, this is a change that was made and not reverted until a much later game. Whereas the actual items and the picture version of them is just a straight up photograph picture style 2D render or 2D picture rather than a 3D image like in the previous game. Now I'm gonna try something risky here, but it might pay off. Yeah, probably not gonna work. I'm probably gonna take a hit. So yeah, you can get the gun shop owner's shotgun, complete with -1 bullet that he actually used when they broke in. So we'll go back in and look. There's the shotgun. It's a little bit different because similar to Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2 and their characters have not only slightly different stories and partners, but they also have different weapons. Leon gets the shotgun, among other things, and Claire gets the bow gun. There's a couple of other more differences, but we'll get into them as we proceed through the actual level, well, the game. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back real quick. So, look at where we are now. Actually, let's go back one more screen. Here, this is what it's like when you first zone in here. The use of the soundtrack, it's very, very quiet, almost all just ambient noise. Because of the fixed camera perspective, you only hear some sort of movement off in the background, off in the distance. You don't know what that banging is, you just hear zombies shuffling. That's the kind of thing that they use in the first 3 games in particular to really emphasize the survival horror aspect. And like any Resident Evil veteran, you always reload in the menus. I'm not going to be doing complete advanced techniques in this. I'm going to be playing it kind of midway to give you the kind of feel of what an average player would play it like. Something to note about Resident Evil 2 as well is it seems to have a lot more hidden items, like these handgun bullets, among others that we'll find later on, but you would have no way of visually seeing that that was actually there. was just off screen. There's actually a secret about this area that we'll cover now as well. If you can get here to this particular area, this little downstairs area, without picking up a single item on the way here, so you can't pick up any type of ammo, any of the handgun bullets, you can't even pick up the shotgun or any of that stuff on the way here, you'll actually find a zombie version of Brad Vickers, who is standing down here. And if you can kill him, he's a tougher zombie than usual, but if you can kill him, his body drops a special locker key. And that locker key is used for changing costumes. So Leon, I believe, has 2 additional costumes. Claire, if I remember correctly, also has 2 additional costumes. And she gets a secret gun in with one of her costumes. And then we've got the police station foyer, or foyer, depending on what way you want to pronounce it. A pretty iconic setting. Most people, when you think of Resident Evil 2, you think of Raccoon City and the police station. And just listen to the soundtrack. It's very haunting and mysterious. I'm sure it was intentionally designed to be somewhat akin to the mansion main hall of the first game.
Oh, man.
Who are you? Oh, you must be the new guy. Leon. Sorry, but it looks like your party has been canceled.
What happened?
About 2 months ago, there was this incident involving zombies in a mansion located in the outskirts of this city. Chris and the other STARS members discovered that Umbrella was behind everything. They risked their lives to reveal the truth, but no one believed them. Not long after that, all this started to happen.
Hang in there.
Don't worry about me. Just rescue the survivors in the other rooms. Here, take this key card. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this. Now go. But just go.
Fine, but I'm coming back for you. Just hold on.
That moment where he hands him the keycard, the way his hand is and the fact that there's nothing visibly in it, kind of became a meme for a while, especially when you consider getting the radio in the first game from Richard in the same manner. This room is another good example. Not considered a save room because there's no typewriter, but there is one in the previous room out in the main hallway. But the room is completely silent. Gives you the illusion of being safe. And yes, while there is still an item box in here as well, it's just a slightly strange choice by Resident Evil standards, in my opinion. And the desk is locked. For the simple reason is, similar to Resident Evil 1, one of the characters can unlock it with a lockpick, whereas Leon requires small keys. And if you saw what just crawled across the window, nice and scary. I think that's why they chose to make this room quiet and silent. Give you the illusion of a sense of security, and then you see something new and terrifying. Just a glimpse. And this is the liquor. Almost a Resident Evil 2 equivalent of the Hunter. And my gauge on when to shoot is apparently a little off. The thing about the liquors in comparison to the Hunters is they're added much sooner into the game. But they can still be just as deadly. Another thing to notice as well is you can see that I'm on caution at the moment. If you look closely, Leon is slightly holding his sides and showing a bit of damage. That's a new feature added to Resident Evil 2. And just to extrapolate on it, once you get down to danger, you basically slow down and completely limp. It's a nice little extra visual cue, as well as a slight little bit of extra realism. Here's another example of what it's basically a hidden item. Just like that, you've got bullets that were completely invisible. can't remember exactly where 100% of everything is, so you may see me checking around once or twice. So, ammo conservation is definitely a big thing, as you'd expect in one of the early Resident Evil games, hence survival horror. It's one of the things where you always want to make the choice between fight or flight. If you want to waste the ammo, if you want to take the chance with running and dodging around them. As I mentioned, I'm going to play this at an average level gamer, so you can watch this, get the kind of experience that you might get as a first-time player or someone who hasn't played in 10 years. And just for a second, before we go anywhere, we're just going to admire the soundtrack again a little bit. Very reminiscent of a Resident Evil 1 save room, for the simple reason is this is the soundtrack of the Resident Evil 2 save room. Once again, some nice little hidden bullets out of view completely. Now, these two lockers here, a special kind of key is required. Now, those are the lockers you actually use to change your costume. So if you do get those, or that special key from Brad, that's where you get them. And a dark room. This comes in handy for extra stuff later. And depending on what way you look at it, we've come up across our first puzzle of Resident Evil 2. The reason I say, depending on your view of it, is technically, when we found that painting and used the fire to, well, the lighter to start a fire, you could technically call that a puzzle. Getting this lined up takes a little bit of practice after a little bit of a break. And just one last thing before we leave this room. Yet another hidden piece of ammo. With no possible way to change the camera or get to a view to go around behind there, how would you ever find that? This is another screen that's very similar to when we first left the gun shop. Because what you hear, it's quiet, you hear all shuffling off screen, unknown what's out there. Chris Redfield. And there we've got a picture from the first game. You've got Alpha and Bravo team. Although I suppose, actually, now that I think about it, it's more just Alpha team. Once again, some more hidden bullets. And as an extra little bit of kind of trivia and a little secret bonus, I'm not going to do it now, but when you search this desk, which is Wesker's desk, mind you, you get the message, it's trashed. Someone must have searched the desk. Now, like I said, I'm not going to do it now, but if you search this desk 50 times, just stand here and mash the X button, search it 50 times, you get a bonus roll of film, which you can develop in the dark room downstairs for a new item, or a new file. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Now, chances are you're probably just going to look it up. But it's kind of an extra little bonus.
Leon!
It's good to see you're still among the living. It looks like we're not gonna find your brother here after all. There's no reason for us to stay any longer than necessary. Let's split up, look for any survivors, and get out of here.
Right.
One last thing. Here's a radio. Take it. That way we can keep in touch if anything happens.
Some nice, hopeful music. Fits in well with the soundtrack. And here is something that's actually easy to miss. You can search the weapons locker. Find yourself a shotgun. Get rid of my visual shame. That's also a pretty iconic moment for most people, especially the very first time you're going through there. The arms will just break through and grab you. After all, you've already been through that corridor, and it was a safe passage the first time, but not after that one. So not only is it a jump scare because it's nice and loud in something that's relatively quiet and silent, but it's also very startling. If you do get grabbed by them, it actually will hold you there till you can break free. Of course, most people, the first time you get grabbed, because it's so startling, you'll just mash and mash and mash to eventually get out. And kind of similar in a way to when you looked at the keys in Resident Evil 1, you had the sword key, the helmet key, the shield key, the armor key. In this one, all the keys are based on suits from cards. So you've got your spade, your diamond, your heart, and your club. You may be wondering as well, in that previous corridor, what the glowing box on the wall was. We'll get to that a little bit later. And yet again, more hidden faxes and hidden files. And Crank, another Resident Evil staple that most people will recognize. A little bit of a fun fact, in my opinion, is that while the valve handle is usually more synonymous with most people when it comes to Resident Evil puzzles and items to use for puzzles and things like that, even though most people are more familiar with the valve handle, the Crank actually predates it, because the there was 2 cranks in Resident Evil 1, but no valve handle. It only first made its appearance in Resident Evil 2. Crowd of zombies chewing on a dead body. Always a good time to have a shotgun. A thing to note about the shotgun in Resident Evil 2. In the first Resident Evil game, to blow off a zombie's head and kill it in one shot, you just needed to shoot a zombie at point blank range with a shotgun. You could just keep the gun at standard level and just pull the trigger. In Resident Evil 2, you actually need to aim up to do that. Conversely, you can actually aim down and blow their legs off, forcing them to crawl. Or if you get really lucky with it, you can actually just shoot them in the stomach and blow them in half, forcing them to crawl while their legs wander around aimlessly for a few more seconds. And again, more invisible ammo. That didn't actually need to be done here just yet, but it's easier to get it out of the way. Free up the inventory for later. Also the source of another jump scare for most people. I know it got me the first time I played it, as did the hands through the window. wait a minute. I must have looked at that wrong. And of course, we all know what the red herb does. If you're not familiar and this is your first Resident Evil game, you mix the red herb with the green herb to give you the same effect as a first aid spray, aka restore full health. And remember, as I mentioned, a big thing about old school survival horror games is ammo conservation. Places like this are prime examples of when advanced players could choose to dodge and run around enemies, therefore conserving ammo. But because of the type of playthrough we're going to do on here, we're just going for a normal one. The ladder also allowed us to create a shortcut to the bottom floor. Our first small key. The small keys, as I mentioned already, are used for opening those locked drawers and desks. I knew there was an ink ribbon there somewhere. That's another example of where the fixed camera perspective comes in really handy for creating survival horror. You can't see what's around that corner, and if I didn't already know that zombie was there, chances are I would have just ran around it and got hit right into the zombie. Versus when I actually just stood here, triggering the zombie to come out after me, and then just took a couple of steps back and killed him. Now, there's a reason I didn't reload there, and we're going to go back and find out. So if you remember correctly, we have one small key to open up locked desks and drawers, but we've passed two of them. Well, there's one, as Leon, you always want to open first. That's going to be the one I'm going to show you and tell you why, as well as explain a new feature exclusive to Leon brought into Resident Evil 2. So this is the locked desk drawer we want to open, as definitely the first one, because you get handgun parts. So Leon basically introduces our new mechanic brought into Resident Evil 2, which is upgradable guns. Leon has several upgradable guns, the first one being the handgun here. Claire does not have upgradable weapons, but she gets different styles of weapons to kind of be a balance and exchange for it. Now, one also thing to handily note is you want to have as few bullets in your handgun as possible, preferably 0, but a few will do, and you can combine them and it will completely refill the ammo of the gun. So the cool thing about the custom handgun is you can do a single shot, double shot, or triple shot burst. And obviously you can switch it between single shot and automatic. And then if it fires 1, 2, or 3 bullets, based is on how you pull the trigger. Okay, that actually made me jump. Completely forgot about it. I had a little bit of a jump scare there. It's funny that after all these years, about 20 years, and it can still get me. I was actually just about to say something. I was just about to say the crows make a return from Resident Evil 1. And then it just happened and jumped. I kind of wish I had my webcam on for it, but that's not how I'm doing these. I just think it's funny that even after all this time and so many playthroughs, it got me. So there's a good example of evasion. Decent size area, plenty of room to maneuver around zombies. And the reason why I did it there in particular is you only need to go through that area twice, one of which was the way out here and the other is on the way back, so it can kind of be skipped. And of course the legendary and infamous valve handle. There's also an extra little bonus that I'm going to show here. It only happens at this place, and it's the only time in the game where it actually happens. But you go to pass through the door, the music kicks in, and you see zombies in the loading screen. they actually come in here, into the room. Now, if you kill those zombies, you actually cannot go out into that extra area, so it's kind of moot. But it really throws you off guard. It's definitely a little extra bit of a twist, and you go from what's essentially a safe room to immediate danger. Again, a great option and a great design choice from Capcom. Once again, more invisible bullets. I wasn't going to go this way originally, but I'll do it now. There's more downstairs and there's other stuff to do down there, but we're not going to worry about it just yet. And again, more invisible shells. And this time, they're shotgun shells, so they're a bit more important than handgun shells. Another thing to note as well is that when you find handgun ammo, you find 15 bullets at a time, compared to Leon's handgun, which can accommodate 18 bullets. It's the same with the shotgun. You find 7 shells, but you can only fit 5 in the shotgun. A little bit of a different thing compared to Resident Evil 1, where your shotgun could hold 7 shells and you could find them in 7s, and your handgun would hold 15, and you would find a clip of 15. And the ink ribbon, completely hidden in the vase. So here we have another one. This is the diamond key. as I'm sure you'll expect, those plugs are story-based items that will come into play a bit later on. But that's it for the moment. We're going to save this game, and this will be our Leon A Part 1 out of the way. So we'll continue next time with Leon's first campaign, and we'll see what other horrors await us in the police station.